Rich, good morning. What was the big topic scuttlebutt prior to the draft?
Well, obviously it was how unpredictable it was going to be and how even the first overall pick had some uncertainty surrounding it. And then what would happen with the second overall pick. And that could have gone in many different directions, but the direction it went was something that nobody talked about, which was the Bears trading up one spot from 3 to take a quarterback. Because when we were all looking for landing spots for Trubisky or Watson, and we're looking at the Niners at 2, or Jacksonville as the sleeper at 4 in case, Tom Coughlin comes in with the fresh set of eyes and thinks that Blake Bortles isn't the guy of the future and they haven't picked up his fifth-year option yet. Maybe that was the spot. Certainly the Titans at 5 were looking to trade out, and that was a spot in front of the Jets where everybody thought that a quarterback could go. Even whispers that the L.A. Chargers might be in the hunt for Phillip Rivers' eventual replacement. And then all of a sudden the team to take a quarterback first is the Bears, and it's Mitchell Trubisky. That was definitely something nobody saw coming.
But if it's the guy they want, I guess the big concern I have is who were they negotiating against? Was San Francisco? Can you lie in those situations? Is that what
I
happens?
asked that on the air last night. I said, did San Francisco find out from Chicago who they wanted before they said yes to the trade? And all three guys who said, Mayock and DJ and who you're having coming up and David Shaw, all said absolutely. And, David Shaw's been in draft rooms with the Ravens, with Daniel Jeremiah actually back in the day. And Ian Rappaport reported that the Niners didn't ask who that was, that this was a value trade for them. And as a matter of fact, they used that later in the night, one of the picks they got from the Bears, to pop up from the second round to come back in and take Reuben Foster. So they exacted the value right away, but who knows really, and did it really matter? I guess in the long run. And you're right. If the Bears love this guy and they think he is the next quarterback of the future and can actually perform better at the position than Jay Cutler did over the last 8 years, and even though they just signed Mike Glennon and are going to give him a shot at it. I mean, if they think that Trubisky can do that, although clearly that won't be this year with his 13 career starts under his belt, then more power to him. But I think that definitely still shocked a bunch of people.
But you look what the Giants gave up to get Eli Manning. You give up Phillip Rivers. You gave up a third-round pick, a first-round pick, a fifth-round pick. We didn't know exactly what Eli Manning was going to be. They eventually won a couple of Super Bowls. But if you look back, I mean, that's a whole lot that you gave up for Eli Manning. Now, his pedigree is, front and center and more of a sure thing than Mitchell Trubisky. But I'm all for the team that's all in to get their guy. If that's the guy, but you have to have talent around you. And I know the Browns are being patient here, Rich, but they didn't try to make up for the mistake they made last year with Carson Wentz. Was that a good strategy or bad strategy?
Well, I was asking that all last night, especially since, think about it. Can you believe this? That they own the Texans' first and second round picks next year. Because the second round pick in that Sixers, trust the process type trade that they did with the Browns
Brock
and
Osweiler.
the Texans together for Brock Osweiler. They got a second and a quarterback, which rarely happens. And now they got the first for Deshaun Watson. They had a shot at Wentz last year, passed up on it, to get a first-round pick that they could have had Watson with this year, passed up on it. And I guess they just don't like those guys. And in the same way that the Sixers here in this town are eventually going to have to win with the guys they draft, they're actually going to have to start playing basketball games they intend to win and start getting enough steam to win games. The Browns will have to do that. Now, I still love Myles Garrett. You obviously know how I feel about Jabril Peppers. And that David Njoku kid came on my show about a month ago, and he is just a mountainous, smart, broad-eyed 20-year-old. So he's really young. So they're amassing talent. At some point, they will have to get the trigger man, and perhaps Davis Webb is that guy. I'm hearing a lot of people love Nate Peterman. Josh Dobbs is terrific. Could be Deshaun Kaiser. I don't know. It could be those guys. Or they'll go in with Osweiler and Cody Kessler, and with those 2 first-rounders and 3 second-rounders they have next year, Darnold, and we're expecting Josh Rosen to come out. There's a bunch of kids that are in next year's draft that if they do want to still be patient, they can go get.
But you also look at these other teams that reached a little bit. Kansas City really wanted Patrick Mahomes, and he's not going to play this year. And Houston really wanted Deshaun Watson. He won't start this year, but he'll probably end up starting by the end of the year. I mean, they gave up a whole lot, too. I know that the Bears are going to be criticized here, but Houston and Kansas City, especially Kansas City, that's a team that can win now. You're opening up against New England, and you use your first-round pick. You trade up. You give up picks to get Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, that was incredible. Dan, that was the first time in the common draft era that 3 quarterbacks went in the first round, and all of them were acquired by teams that traded up to go get them.
Yeah.
And the one with Mahomes was surprising because everybody thought that Deshaun Watson was similar in style to Donovan McNabb, and we all know how well Reed and McNabb did in that offense for years. And they went ahead and got the Favre-type guy in Patrick Mahomes, and which, Reed would know very well how to coach or do his best to try and coach from back in the Packers days. But, at least the Chiefs are – I don't want to call them ready-made to make a Super Bowl run because I thought they were last year, and we saw what happened. So that, though, Alex Smith, they've got in the. I wouldn't count against Deshaun Watson starting. I mean, think about it. Last year, Carson Wentz, and we talked about it last night. Trubisky had just 13 career starts under his belt. Wentz had 23. That's it. Mm-hmm. And when he was drafted last year, 23 starts under his belt. Oh well, he's third on the depth chart, and he wound up starting from week 1 and was terrific. So I wouldn't be surprised if Deshaun Watson can pick things up quickly in the Bill O'Brien offense, and they just say, let's go. And interestingly enough, if that happens, in week 6, the Browns come in, and just like last year when the Browns started their first game last year of the Hugh Jackson era against Wentz, they might see the kid that they passed up again and have to play him.
He's Rich Eisen from the NFL Network. They got coverage of rounds 2 and 3 coming up tonight. Gary and Conley reportedly took a lie detector test for the Baltimore Ravens. You know what? Is this unprecedented?
It is. It's a bad look. I mean, there's no other way to put it. But then again, it's tough for me to say that because if the kid didn't do it, then I have no idea. And the Raiders, I think deep down, they don't know either, and they decided let's give it a whirl. I mean, all I know is that the guy who's going to be in whose room he's going to be in is one of the finest people I've ever met in Rod Woodson. And so, and Rod was the one who taught me the phrase, if you want to soar with the eagles, don't hoot with the owls, which is what Chuck Noll always told him about never going out and about. And so, if he needs to have his head screwed on any tighter, Rod will be the one to do it, and because he's now the official full-on defensive backs coach in Oakland. So I honestly don't know what to make it, other than the fact that right now, with him under investigation for this, and he's a first-round pick, 24th overall, it's just a bad. It looks bad.
What makes Mayock mad?
Talking about Tim Tebow.
But he also got mad last night, Rich, when the commissioner was taking too long to get up to the podium. And
that's Philly, man. And I think he used the word frickin' about 5 times last night, too. And he's in his element. I mean, there's 100,000 people on the Benjamin Franklin Parkway, for crying out loud. And we're at a draft in Philadelphia. It's his hometown. And he lives for this. I mean, John Lynch said it at a press conference this week when asked about what he looks at for, in mock drafts that are placed in front of him. And he mentioned Mayock as having the best. And because every place that he went, at a pro day, he looked up and he saw Mayock there too. And I mentioned that to Mike, and, he kind of rolled his eyes a little bit, but because he doesn't want to toot his own horn, I'll do that for him. He's the best. I mean, for somebody who's got to host a draft like I'm doing, to have him at the end of the set, and now, the guy who's coming up next on your show, Daniel Jeremiah, is very special too. And Charles Davis is coming tonight too, as David Shaw was just a first-round analyst for us. It's great. Mayock's, there's nobody like him. He's the best.
What was the game plan if it rained last night?
If it rained last night, for us, there's like one of those shower curtains that you could pull around, and it was because when we rehearsed on Tuesday, it was raining and it was brutal. If it happened last night, look, it would have been brutal. Look, the NFL got lucky with the first, cold weather Super Bowl, quote unquote. It was 60 degrees that day, and it had a snowstorm of epic nor'easter proportions the next day that messed with a lot of people's travels plans. But they got lucky, and it's supposed to be really nice tonight and a little cloudy, but no rain Saturday. And it was Dan, I got to tell you, it was unbelievable scene last night.
Yeah, Paulie and McLovin went down.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So when I didn't see them there. So that means McLovin had a.
Well, there are 100,000 people.
No. Was he connected? McLovin had a good connection to Wi-Fi and 3G when he was trying to act smarter than everybody else by tweeting out all the information. Is that what that is?
What happened, McLovin?
Yeah.
What?
I was going to say
I had everything that people don't know because they're watching the television part of the draft. You're messing with my livelihood when you do that.
Wow, McLovin, were you tipping picks?
That, right?
McLovin, answer Rich.
I have a bad connection here. I was going to say what a good time I had getting a free dinner with Chris Law.
Oh, yeah. All those people in our industry, Dan, who don't have to be tethered to the NFL because they're not, quote-unquote, partners with them, that can go on Twitter and act so smart because they know the information before everybody else does.
Wow, McLovin getting a shot.
It's just the ultimate threat to the televising of the draft. That's it.
Wow.
The number of people that say, "Oh gosh, you're acting like you're not tipping picks." I'm off of Twitter. I don't sit on it. Nor does the ESPN. But at any rate,
nobody knew.
You had a good time down in Philly, though.
Nobody knew. You didn't know a pick last night before.
No.
And the mothership didn't either.
My children's head, Dan.
And Three Wingo did not have that either.
Well, I mean, I can't speak to him, but he tells me that that's the case, and I believe it.
All right.
I really do believe it.
All right.
Yes, but I know for a fact we do not know. They do not tell us. They don't even say in our ears, "This is a big one. Get ready." Mayock and I and everybody who's on that set and everybody who's been on that set, we don't want to know because we want to be just as shocked as you at home. What is the point? What is the point? And I understand it's the 21st century, and this is a 20th century operation where a pick is made somewhere and it's called into a desk in a different town where somebody writes it down and hand delivers it to somebody. I mean, we could do this like a fantasy draft and be over in 3.5 hours if we wanted, but it's a television show for a reason. For 3 days to drum up interest and to have a fun time, and what a spectacle it was last night. So.
All right. Well, good luck tonight. Yeah. Good luck with your encore performance coming up tonight.
That's tonight and then all day Saturday, up to Mr. Irrelevant.
Thank you, bud.
All right.
That's Rich Eisen, host of the NFL Network, The Rich Eisen Show, on Audience Channel 239 from noon till 3 Eastern.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.